Hi everyone, I'm Rob. You might remember me from such videos as No to Langley Feeders, a flawed consultation, and No to Langley Feeders 2021. Welcome to 2022. Now, back in January of this year, a lot of us were pleased to see that the Board of Trustees at the Langley Park Trust had decided against the modified feeder school policy that they proposed last year. The idea, if you remember, was to give priority admission to the secondary schools to kids from Langley Park Primary School who'd been told, misled, that a feeder school policy would be created for them. And in my earlier video, I explained why that policy was a bad idea and unfair. Essentially, the Trust wanted to retrospectively give effect to a promise that it didn't have the legal authority to make. So it was short-circuiting the proper process for making decisions about our community. So we were pleased that the Board of Trustees at the Trust agreed that this would be a bad idea and that they weren't going to go ahead with it. Now, unfortunately, the people who stood to benefit from those priority places, they complained to something called the Schools Adjudicator. And the Trust and Bromley Council, they knew about this, but weirdly, they didn't tell campaigners like me that this complaint to the external body had been made. And the office of the adjudicator didn't seek any information from the wider community. It seems they only took into account what had been given to them by the people who are seeking to get the priority places. Now, the adjudicator gave a decision in August and reversed the earlier consultation. She didn't seem to take into account the feelings of the community and especially those parents who'd been told the correct information by the Trust and who subsequently sent their kids elsewhere, not to Langley Park Primary School. A side effect of this is that the Trust now have to make a couple of bulge years for the secondary schools. So there's going to be more children in the boys' school and the girls' school than there should be, which is going to be a detriment to all the children currently at those schools. So it looks like we're stuck with this feeder school policy, and the group of people who received information the rest of us did not will now go to the front of the queue. Or are we stuck with it? I've been reading the decision, and in addition to it being annoying, because after all it's the opposite of what I campaigned for, I also think that it's bad in law. Because when a public official makes a decision, they need to take into account all the relevant information, and also not take into account irrelevant information. The decision has to be rational, and it has to follow proper procedure as well. And I don't think this decision does that. I think that it's illegal in public law terms, and that it should be challenged in court. So that's what I've done. Last week, I put in a claim for a judicial review of the adjudicator's decision. So I'm going to ask the High Court to take a look at the decision, and if it wasn't done properly, then I'm going to ask them to quash it. This would put us back to the position we were in January and follow the sort of level playing field admissions procedure that the Board of Trustees at Langley thought was best for the school when they made their decision in January. Now, I'm just at the permission stage at the moment, so the court still has to decide whether my application will be taken on, but I am confident that it will be. If it does, then I'll go to court to argue that the adjudicator didn't take the decision properly, and fairness to the whole community should be properly taken into account. Now, I do have some legal training, by the way, so I know how to put a case together and deliver it in court. And a couple of other legally trained parents are giving me some informal advice too. Now, here's the problem. There's a fee for bringing this kind of case, and it's £770. And to be honest, I can't afford to pay that by myself. If I did pay that for a court case, my wife would go ballistic. And to be honest, I don't really think I should pay for it all myself. I'm bringing this case because I think the entire community of West Wickham and Langley has been poorly treated, and the current situation is unfair to a lot of people. And crucially, I think that the issues that this case raises about schools making promises and short-circuiting the consultation process is something that's relevant to the whole country, really. So I need to ask you, the community in West Wickham, in Beckenham, in Langley, in Hayes, for help. So I have launched a crowdfunder, and if we raise the money in the next week or so, I will be able to pay that fee and argue the case. So please donate what you can. If, say, 200 families donated £4 or £5, then we'd be done. If 1,000 people donated £1, then that would see us right too. I mean, I know times are tight, but I also know a lot of people appreciated the campaigning work that I did with many other mums and dads, by the way, over the past couple of years. So maybe if you donated the price of a pint or a cup of coffee for this legal project, then that would be brilliant. Two more things. What would be great is if we raised more money than we need. And to be honest, I might use 10 or 15 quid of that on postage and printing for the case. But otherwise, any excess we receive, I will, of course, donate to a local charity. And if anyone who does donate wants to let me know about the local food bank, for example, that would probably be the best place for it, I guess. I'll also make sure I post any receipts I get for any money I spend. I'll post them online too. Now, the other thing to make absolutely clear is that I am not suing Langley Park Learning Trust, or its new incarnation, which is Impact Multi-Academy Trust. I'm not suing them. I'm claiming against the Office of the School's Adjudicator, which is a government agency. And that's who the case is against. The trust are, of course, a party to the case, but I'm not in opposition to them. And in fact, what I'm fighting for is the decision that the Board of the Trustees made in January. So I hope that everyone in the community, parents who send their kids to the Langley schools and those who don't, can support this project. Thanks very much, folks, and I'll put links to the donate page in the comments to this video. Cheers.